the final framework, Agenda 2030, and the New World Order.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. When you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it.
Step 1, train the people only too soon. Step 2, infiltrate adults with the news. Step 3, indoctrinate the children through the schools and the music and the apps on the phones that they use. Step 4, separate the right from the left. Step 5, separate the white from the black. Step 6, separate the rich from the poor. Use religion and equality to separate them more. Step 7, fabricate a problem, made a lie. Step 8, put it on the news every night. Step 9, when people start to fight and divide, take control. This is called situational design.
A satanic power had taken over our whole country, which had been able to occupy key positions in our intellectual and spiritual life and in our political and economic life. From these key positions, they were able to control and monitor the whole nation. This power has at the same time the ability to persecute legally those who fight against it and prevent others from creating a resistance to its advance.
Over the city, looking down on Washington, D.C., you'll see there are two main boulevards culminating in a pyramid. And just at the very top of the pyramid is a street cutting it off. And then within the triangle at the top, where the eye on the dollar bill is the Capitol. And the Capitol building sits there. It's a pyramid. Then it has the Cleopatra's Needle, which is a Washington monument. And the river, the long riverway, the long waterway is called the River Styx, which is where Pharaoh went into heaven on the River Styx. It is all laid out in Masonic symbolism, and the five-pointed star, which is a pentagram, has always been used. Satan worship, satanic worship, the five-pointed pentagram, and if you take the arms off of a pentagram, you have a pentagon. And the United States Pentagon is sitting exactly due north, aiming due north at the North Star Thuban, which is drawing power, according to the ancient Egyptians, for the god of war.
Just take a road map of Washington, D.C. Just take a look at it from the air. And you'll see what appears to be the goat of Mendez. And the goat of Mendez,
which is a symbol in Freemasonry. Right. It's a symbol. It's a demonic symbol within the Freemasonic.
You see the goat and the horns and the whole thing. The whole city is laid out like that. It's all over.
So what we're basically saying here is that there is nothing happening by chance.
The world might actually be run by demons. At almost every major city, there is symbolism for Lucifer. The United Nations headquarters is located at 666 United Nations Plaza, where there is tons of demonic symbolism such as this end times beast. In the Bible, it says 200 fallen angels descended at Mount Hermon, and the UN just happens to have a base there. The craziest part is that at a city called Astana, a city that's been purposely hidden from us, there's a massive pyramid, much like the one on the money that controls our entire world. And inside this pyramid, there's 200 perfectly aligned chairs. It's almost like the 200 angels that fell have a secret base where they make their plans. At this same city, there is another torch that represents Lucifer. This evil symbolism even stretches to CERN, the government research facility which has a statue of Shiva, the destroyer of worlds outside of it. Obviously, this is all just speculation, and none of it is proven to be true, but this symbolism is real. This has made many people believe.
These people are not who you think they are. From the dust of Eden to the data streams of our modern age, there has always been a whisper, a vision, a reach for one throne over all the earth. In the beginning, humanity walked with the Creator. But at the fall in the garden, something shifted. Dominion was no longer stewardship under God. It became ambition apart from Him. The first rebellion was not merely about fruit, it was about authority. Who rules, the Creator or man? That same question rose again on the plains of Shinar. At the Tower of Babel, humanity gathered with one language, one purpose, one declaration. Let us make a name for ourselves, a united world, centralized, defiant, self-exalting. But the timing was not ordained by heaven. The Creator fractured the language, scattered the people, and halted the first attempt at a man-made global order. Since then, empires have risen like waves crashing against prophecy. Ancient Egypt sought to dominate through divine kingship. Roman Empire forged roads, law, and iron rule, believing itself eternal. Babylonian Empire declared glory through conquest. Persian Empire stretched across continents. Each one dreamed of lasting dominion. Each one fell. Why? Because the timing was never aligned with the Creator's sovereign plan. History shows us something remarkable. Global unity imposed by human power never sustains itself unless permitted by divine appointment. There is an appointed hour, and until that hour, no empire can force what heaven has not authorized. But something changed in the modern era. From the 1700s onward, revolutions ignited the world. Political, industrial, ideological. The speed of advancement exploded. Communication accelerated. Nations collided in ways never before possible. Wars became global. Then came World War I, the war to end all wars. From its ashes rose the League of Nations, humanity's first formal attempt at structured global governance. A board of peace, a council of nations, an early model of collective security. It failed. Then World War II shook the planet with fire and atomic shadow. Out of that devastation rose the United Nations in 1945, stronger, broader, more ambitious. This was no mere alliance. It was infrastructure, global councils, agencies, peacekeeping forces, economic coordination, a permanent international forum. From there, the world tightened. The International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the NATO. War was no longer isolated, it was networked. The Gulf of Tonkin incident escalated into the Vietnam War. The Gulf War brought coalition warfare under multinational command. The smoke of the September 11 attacks reshaped security across the globe, leading to the Iraq War and expanded surveillance systems. Each crisis expanded coordination. Each conflict justified integration. Each tragedy accelerated interdependence. And now we live in a world of digital tracking, biometric systems, global economic frameworks, multinational summits, real-time surveillance, and coordinated global responses to pandemics, climate, finance, and war. The United Nations may be criticized as outdated, bureaucratic, even ineffective. Some call it a relic, a board of peace that cannot enforce true peace. Yet quietly, global governance structures deepen. Agreements bind nations economically. Data links populations instantly. Policy frameworks span content. The language has shifted. Not conquest, but cooperation. Not empire, but sustainability. Not domination, but security. But beneath the terminology lies the same ancient tension. Will unity be under the Creator, or apart from Him? From Eden to Babel, from Rome to modern institutions, from swords to satellites, humanity continues reaching for centralized authority, a system that promises peace, safety, and stability. Scripture warns that before the return of the Lord, there will be a season where global alignment intensifies, political, economic, and spiritual consolidation, unlike anything before. The difference now is speed. Never in history have nations been able to coordinate instantly. Never has commerce been so digitized. Never has information flowed so universally. The infrastructure for global governance exists in a way previous empires could only dream of. But timing still belongs to the Creator. No system, however advanced, can fully rise outside His sovereign allowance. History proves it. Empires collapse, councils dissolve, leaders fade. Prophetic clocks move not by human ambition, but by divine decree, and so we stand in a moment unlike any before us. Some see cooperation, some see control, some see prophecy unfolding, but all can agree the architecture of global unity is more visible now than ever in recorded history. The question is not whether humanity desires one world order. The question is whether the appointed time has arrived, or whether, once again, mankind is building another tower without heaven's permission. History has shown what happens when we do.
Now, in the coming years, all shall receive the mark. The mark has already started in implication. Are we all aware of the mark? If not, please educate yourselves. In the mark of the beast, refusers of it shall not be able to buy or sell. They shall become beggars, cut out of the system, and that will be the pure delight. For they will be the wise. We brothers will never have the mark, for we will know that it really is control. And we cannot be controlled as we are the controllers. The mark will be the connection between AI, direct connections, free will, dependent on the algorithm. You see at the moment, man has free will. It was given to him by God. That gives him the right to choose. Well, once we give him the mark, that free will belong to us. We will be able to track his movements, his body, his money. His decisions will be monitored 24/7. We will replace his God. A central computer that gathers all his data, from the smartphone to the mark. Now I will detail how all of you will slowly start to implement this technology.
There's a firm that knows all about you, your name, your address, your routines, and even your next step. No, it's not Google, not Facebook, and not even the NSA. It's this firm that works behind the scenes, supplying intelligence agencies, military units, and even some of the world's largest companies with an unsettling degree of insight. Its name? Palantir. If you've never really known what Palantir does, you're not the only one. That's because they don't want you to know. They work on secrecy, power, and access to some of the most valuable information on the planet. If this sounds like something out of a movie, you're correct. But here's the horrific part. It's all true. So how did a tiny startup grow into one of the world's most powerful and contentious technology companies? More significantly, what does Palantir actually do? And why are governments, militaries, and corporations chanting for its products? Let's dig deep into the world's most enigmatic tech company. Palantir gets its name from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Palantiri, in the novels, were magical seeing stones that allowed their bearers to see things happening remotely. It's a strangely apt name for a company that, in effect, enables governments and institutions to see everything. But how did it all start? Palantir was co-founded in 2003 by Peter Thiel, the billionaire investor and co-founder of PayPal. PayPal was not all about online payments, if you thought so. Thiel and his team created a state-of-the-art fraud detection system that could forecast suspicious transactions with frightening accuracy. The US government was keen, but Thiel had grander ambitions. He thought that the same technology could be applied to gathering intelligence, combating terrorism, and even anticipating crime before it occurred. Palantir was funded by the CIA's venture capital unit, In-Q-Tel. That's correct. The CIA invested in this firm from day one. This was no typical startup. Day one, Palantir was designed to cater to the world's most powerful intelligence agencies. Most businesses sell goods. Palantir sells influence. Palantir is a data analysis firm at its fundamental level, but that description barely scratches the surface of the amount of control its software gives. Suppose you had access to all the world's databases, bank accounts, social media, government monitoring, satellite photos, and could look at them all simultaneously, instantly linking the dots between individuals, locations, and events. That's what Palantir's software accomplishes. Consider Palantir Gotham, for instance. This is their top product, employed by law enforcement and intelligence agencies. It gathers enormous quantities of data from various sources and compiles it into a sharp, actionable intelligence picture. If an individual is planning an attack, transferring money suspiciously, or even considering committing a crime, Palantir can pick up on the patterns. It can be referred to as Google on steroids. But here's the scary part. Google searches are subject to privacy regulations. Palantir? Not really. If you believed Palantir was all about monitoring criminals, you're in for a surprise. One of the largest customers for Palantir is the US military. It has been applied in Iraq and Afghanistan to target insurgents, analyze enemy movement, and even initiate drone strikes. Military personnel indicate that Palantir has preserved thousands of lives by allowing troops to make fast decisions in split seconds with instant intelligence. But not everyone sees it as a force for good. Palantir's involvement in military operations raises ethical concerns about surveillance, targeted killings, and the potential for abuse. Imagine a world where artificial intelligence decides who lives and who dies. That's not fiction, that's the reality we're heading toward. And Palantir does just that, only by analyzing vast amount of data. And it doesn't end in war zones. Palantir's software has been employed to track protesters, monitor journalists, and even deport immigrants. In August 2019, immigrant rights activist group Magente charged Palantir with providing technology utilized by ICE's largest workplace raid of that summer, targeting Mississippi chicken plants and arresting 680 migrant workers. So, the question is Palantir making the world safer, or is it building a global surveillance state? Palantir isn't only collaborating with governments. Some of the world's largest corporations are employing its technology. JP Morgan Chase hired Palantir in secret to monitor workers, reading emails, keystrokes, and even movements to keep insider threats at bay. Airbus employs Palantir's software to forecast maintenance problems before they occur. And governments and private organizations use Palantir Foundry to turn health data into insights that can improve patient lives and healthcare delivery. And let's not omit COVID-19. During the pandemic, Palantir was contracted by several governments to monitor infections, coordinate the distribution of vaccines, and track individuals' movements. This was a life-saving tool for some. For others, a terrifying preview of the future of universal surveillance. And with great power comes lots of controversy. Palantir has been accused of inadvertently doing the following: trampling on whistleblowers' rights to privacy by allowing mass surveillance, selling information to authoritarian regimes with dubious human rights histories, being overly secretive. Even shareholders have no idea what the company does. Then there's the lawsuit. In 2016, the US Department of Labor brought Palantir to court for discriminating against Asian job candidates. The firm settled the suit but raised a good question. If Palantir can monitor everything, why didn't they anticipate this? In spite of all this, Palantir just keeps expanding. Governments require it. Companies depend on it. And the people? Most do not have any idea how profound its reach actually is. As artificial intelligence continues to advance, Palantir is becoming a pioneer in AI-based decision-making. With initiatives aimed at predictive analytics, machine learning, and autonomous intelligence systems, the company is set to incorporate AI into everything from military tactics to corporate management. The question is, will AI-based Palantir be the ultimate decision-maker for corporations and governments without human oversight? With its enormous data-gathering capacity, Palantir falls in a gray area between surveillance and security. While its defenders claim the firm prevents terrorism, fraud, and cybercrime, critics alert against mass surveillance, transparency issues, and misuse. As Palantir grows, the world is confronted with an urgent question. Where do we set the limit between privacy and safety? Where is Palantir going next then? Founder Peter Thiel has hinted that artificial intelligence will play an even bigger role in the company's future. Imagine an AI that doesn't just track what people have done, but predicts what they will do. Palantir is actually already developing predictive policing. A regime that informs the police who's most likely to commit a crime before they have a chance to do it. So you know now, Palantir isn't some mythical tech firm. It's one of the most powerful, divisive, and perhaps most dangerous firms in existence. It can predict the future, control governments, and even remake society as a whole. But here's the actual question. Are we thankful that firms like Palantir are around, or should we be scared of what they can become? Because one thing is for certain, Palantir is observing, and now you're watching them too. If you like this video, give it a...
All right, we told you yesterday that the tech bro heavy front row of Donald Trump's inauguration would be a sign of things to come, and boy did it happen fast. On his first official working day, the 47th president revealed what he calls the biggest infrastructure project in history. It's called Stargate, a $500 billion US investment in a network of giant data centres to drive artificial intelligence. The first of these 10 data centres is already being built in Texas.
As you know, there's great competition for AI and other things, and they're coming in at the highest level. We're joined by Oracle Executive Chairman Larry Ellison, SoftBank CEO, my friend Masa Yoshi's son, and CEO of OpenAI, and I would say the by far the leading expert based on everything I read, Sam Altman. So that's great that you're coming in together. That's a massive group of talent.
Now, in this giant project, the key initial technology partners are Microsoft, Oracle, Nvidia, OpenAI, and the UK-based ARM. But Oracle, SoftBank, and OpenAI will fund this giant project.
Last month, I came to celebrate your winning and promised that we will invest $100 billion. And you told me, oh, Masa, go for 200. Yeah. Now I came back with 500. Because this is the, as you said yesterday, this is the beginning of golden age of America.
And the potential of Stargate is as big as the imagination of future business leaders. But tech veteran Larry Ellison thinks the first applications will be in medical treatments.
The kind of applications that we're building, to give you an idea, maybe the most charismatic and the one that I think touches us all is electronic health records. Not just maintaining electronic health records, but by looking at electronic health records, understanding the condition of doctors, better understanding the condition of their patients, and being able to provide healthcare plans that are much better than they otherwise would be.
Donald Trump even turned interviewer with the world's most famous proponent of artificial intelligence, OpenAI's chief executive, Sam Altman.
How will AI help us with the fight against the various problems, diseases, etc.?
I believe that as this technology progresses, we will see diseases get cured at an unprecedented rate. We will be amazed at how quickly we're curing this cancer and that one and heart disease, and what this will do for the ability to deliver very high quality healthcare, the costs, but really to cure the diseases.
Meantime, Trump's mate Moshi's company, SoftBank, one of the biggest in Tokyo, had a great day out in the stock market a short time ago. You can see here its shares up 11% on the day. Anyway, later in the program, we're going to explore Stargate and its potential with one of Australia's biggest investors in startup companies for tech companies, SquarePeg's James Tynan.
Hi there. How you doing?
I am wonderful.
I am so sorry. That flight is canceled.
No. No.
Customer incident at the other end.
What? So when is the next flight?
Yeah, they're all kind of full.
I booked this weeks ago. It's my best friend's wedding.
I'm sorry.
I have to get there. I have to.
Okay, let's see what we can do.
Oh, thank you.
I see there's one standby seat on another plane leaving tonight.
Oh, okay.
That's reserved for members of our Prime Flight program. You gotta be a 4.2 or over to qualify.
Oh, I'm a 4.2.
I'm afraid you're actually a 4.183.
Oh. Well, that's not my fault. Some woman dinged me down in the cadre. Can't you just...
I'm sorry, it won't let me book it without the correct ranking.
But it's so close.
There's just nothing I can do.
Christ, I mean, surely.
I'm gonna have to ask you to moderate your language there.
Sorry, it's just... I'm maid of honor. I cannot miss this wedding.
And I am so sorry about that.
Can you call the supervisor?
I cannot do that.
Can you just call the supervisor? Supervisor.
Okay, that's profanity. We're zero tolerance on profanity.
I'm sorry, it's just...
Yeah, I have to serve the next customer.
No.
Step away, ma'am.
Help me!
I'm so sorry. I've called security.
Oh, no, please don't do that. I'm a 5-starring you. 5 stars.
What's the issue here, Hannah?
Intimidation and profanity.
Oh, no. I was not intimidating.
Don't speak, ma'am.
I was just trying to...
Okay, so, in order to restore calm, I'm invoking my authority as airport security to dock you 1 full ranking point as a punitive measure. This is a temporary measure.
No!
The score reverts to normal in 24 hours.
No, but I
During
need
this
it
probationary
now.
period, all down votes are subject to a ×2 multiplier.
×2?
We recommend you avoid negative feedback at this time.
I'm on double damage?
Please, remove yourself from the airport immediately.
Okay, well, due to your ranking.
They're constantly monitored by facial recognition cameras that are able to instantly put a face to a name. Now, the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out of a possible 950 points. A score in the 700s is considered good. Around the 500 mark is not. For now, the number is a sort of bank credit rating, keeping track of everyone's spending habits.
I think being ranked is a good thing. A society has to have rules.
It forces us to be well behaved.
It may seem scary, but it's just like that here. We're used to it, and anyway, we don't have a choice.
But in an effort to keep all of its subjects in line, Beijing is taking the system a step further in 2020. It's aggregating data gathered by banks, private companies, and the state to rate if someone's a good or bad citizen.
By using the most data possible, the so-called big data, the system will play an important role in rebuilding a moral society.
The state will go over every detail of a person's life with a fine-tooth comb. Their financial situation, spending habits, career, even behavior on social media. Criticizing the government online or displaying outward signs of wealth is a no-no. On the other hand, praising the party or giving blood increases your social credit. Xiao Wenwang is a model citizen. She lives in Nanjing, a testing ground for social ranking. Married with a child, she has a job in a retirement home, no debts, and she wouldn't dream of jaywalking.
As a good citizen, I respect the rules of the road. If I didn't, I'd lose points on my social credit.
In theory, everything can be taken into account in the social score, even the most innocuous errands like supermarket shopping. When Xiao Wenwang makes an electronic payment, her purchases tell the state a lot about her. Buying cigarettes would count against her, On the other hand, nappies show she's an attentive mother. Beer could indicate alcoholism. She'd be better off buying water. In this pilot city of 8 million people, there are only 18,000 model citizens. For Xiaowen Wang, there are perks to be had, such as paying half price for the bus.
I get discounts for all public services, even at museums. And the library is free for me, thanks to my score.
A good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose rights. The cinema names and shames people considered untrustworthy, plastering their details, even their addresses, across big screens.
It's a matter of principle. Those people have to be condemned.
Those people aren't honest, so they have to pay the price.
It's only right to pay your debts. You have to blacklist those that don't.
The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad citizens, those whose ratings have dropped to 0. On it are companies, but also 23 million people to date. Among them is this journalist Liu Hu. He got a little too close to uncovering corruption among high-profile party members. After being sued for defamation by the subject of a story he'd written, he was blacklisted. He only realized when he tried to buy a train ticket and was told he was banned from traveling.
That tells me I'm still on the blacklist.
Punished because he's been branded untrustworthy by the state.
Once you're blacklisted, you can no longer get a bank loan, start a business, buy an apartment, or even send your children to a private school.
Liu Hu is among a tiny minority of people who have dared to criticize the system, which some are calling a digital dictatorship.
I worry, because I think many people like me will be deprived of individual freedoms, and all of us will live with restrictions of one kind or another.
After our meeting, Liu Hu learned that his name had been removed from the blacklist, but he still has a long way to go if he doesn't want to languish at the bottom of the social credit hierarchy.
Another place that India leads, but there's a lot more that all of you can be involved in driving forward, is this digital public infrastructure. You know, no country is more able to take government benefits and get them out efficiently and effectively to their citizens than India. You know, you would have expected rich countries or others to do that, but in fact, they did not. And so that basic structure that starts with identity and bank accounts and payments is just foundational. And as part of this visit, I'm now seeing how that foundation is being built out.
You might have noticed something strange happening around the world. It feels like the world is incredibly chaotic right now. We see wars breaking out, crypto markets are collapsing, scandals are being exposed. It feels like everything is happening all at once. But I have to wonder if all of this noise is actually a distraction from something much bigger. While we are looking away, governments are quietly building a system that will change how we live forever. That system is the enforcement of digital ID. At first it sounds harmless. A modern ID system that lives on your phone. No more wallets, no more documents. One card that proves everything about you. Simple, clean, convenient. The United Kingdom is already calling their version the BRIC card. It is basically a digital identity for every citizen. Your car, your bank accounts, your medical history, your investments, even your property documents. All linked to one ID. All stored on a blockchain so nothing can be changed or erased. On the surface, this sounds fantastic. You will never have to carry a wallet again. You will never lose your ID because it is all stored safely on the blockchain. It is ultra convenient and secure. However, this convenience is exactly how they will get you to sign up. Once you are in the system, the government introduces programmable money. This is not like the digital banking you use today. This is money that has rules built into it. Imagine a world where the government can program your money to work only in certain areas. If you say something online that offends the wrong person, they could restrict your spending. They could stop you from buying travel tickets or limit how far your electric car can drive. It sounds scary, but they will make it very hard to resist. They will likely introduce universal basic income between 2027 and 2030. They will offer everyone free money every single month. The only condition is that you must sign up for the digital ID to receive it. Most people will take the free money without thinking about the freedom they are giving up. They will choose convenience over control. The wealthy already know this is coming. That is why you see billionaires buying massive amounts of farmland and remote property. They know that the only way to maintain true freedom is to be self-sufficient. If you own your land and produce your own energy, you are harder to control. And this brings us to the most important point, that what can you actually do right now to protect yourself? The first step is to keep using physical cash. Every time you tap a card or use a phone to pay, you are helping them build the digital prison. Cash is the last form of private spending we have. You must use it or we will lose it. You should also focus on becoming less dependent on the system. Try to pay off your debts as fast as you can. When you have debt, you are vulnerable to interest rates and banking rules. Real freedom comes from owning things outright. Start learning practical skills like growing your own food or repairing your own home. If the digital system ever locks you out, you need to be able to survive without it. Finally, build real relationships with your neighbours. A strong local community is the best defence against a centralised digital world. We have to build a way of living that does not rely on their permission. We are in a very short window of time before this system takes over, so educate yourself and take action now.
Mark of the beast. It is here already.
It's like having a built-in key for unlocking doors, making payments, or even starting a car, all with just a wave of your hand.
So you have something else that's really interesting in the newsletter about people in Sweden putting implants, microchips, right, into them.
Well, that's an unusual sensation. What does it feel like? It doesn't hurt. There was a little pop. It's a weird feeling, and it's over. It's done. It's done.
That's it.
I'm a robot now.
Oh my God! The modern rogue is now officially part cyborg.
I'm a modern cyborg.
It's all fun and games until it becomes mandatory. Revelation 13:16 to 17. And he made all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
You are a beast.
The lust to control other human beings is a story as old as time. There's a very strong drift in the direction of globalization, of the ultimate centralization of control in the hands of unelected officials at supranational organizations.
They want all of the resources of the world in their pocket.
The bigger picture is that an attempt is underway now to collapse liberal democracy and replace it with global technocracy.
This is a coup. They're saying we can control with rules. We don't need currency anymore.
It's like an inverted prison. You are supposedly free to roam about, but everything you want to access is behind lock and key.
The potential for social control is gigantic and potentially irreversible.
They plan to commandeer land, reduce farming, and radically change the food we eat, transform the supply of electricity, and then dictate how we use it, and replace currency with a system of credits. All three strategies are built on the premise of a climate crisis caused by carbon dioxide.
I do not think there's a climate crisis, and I base that on all the evidence and the climate data sets that we build to answer questions just like that. The government is very clear that they want a catastrophic story.
There is no single science paper that proves conclusively that humans control all or most of the global climate.
Europe's mad dash towards net zero is effectively economic suicide. Politicians are purposely impoverishing ordinary people, purposely deindustrializing Europe.
It's just tremendous amount of damage in the name of saving the planet. It does make you ask, what is it we're actually saving if we're paving it over?
I think what we're dealing with here is actually a global war on agriculture.
When you look at how many farms are selling out, we're walking into food shortages.
If I can switch everybody from real food to pharma food, then 100% of the agriculture industry can go through my publicly traded stocks, and I have complete control.
This is the biggest public relations scam in the history of the world. But it's far more than that. It's a blueprint. It is the action plan.
All life on Earth is going to be radically changed.
Everything will be monitored. The environmental consequences of every human action.
The general population cannot fathom the psychopathy of the vision that they're facing.
Once the digital ID is in place, it's game over for humanity.
In 2015, Switzerland and the UN member states adopted the 2030 Agenda, which sets out the path to a sustainable development for all people, with 17 universal goals. But 2030 is tomorrow. To be able to act quickly, Switzerland has set priorities, especially in those areas where the potential for development is greatest. These form the 3 pillars of the Sustainable Development Strategy, SDS 2030. Sustainable consumption and production, climate, energy and biodiversity, equal opportunities and social cohesion. The focus is on different fields of action. For example, securing prosperity and well-being by conserving natural resources, reducing greenhouse gas emissions and addressing the impacts of climate change, ensuring effective equality between women and men. This strategy affects both our domestic and foreign policies and relies on multiple fundamental actors: civil society, the economy, the financial market, education, research, and innovation. These actors, as well as the cantons and municipalities, play an important role alongside the federal government. They can be drivers of sustainable development and thus make a decisive contribution to the implementation of the 2030 Agenda. With this strategy, the Federal Council is securing the future of the Swiss people and positioning the country as a role model for sustainable development.
The world is on the verge of global change. The speed of data transmission has increased by multiples of millions. The rate of globally significant events and that of discoveries and crises is growing exponentially. Our civilization is like an uncaptained ship sailing on rough seas with neither chart nor compass, all the while moving faster and faster. The time we have to make the right decisions is shorter and shorter. We are facing the choice to fall into a new dark age, into affliction and degradation, or to find a new model for human development and create not simply a new civilization, but a new mankind. Historic crises show that to break the deadlock, we need technological revolution. It is clear that today's revolution will also require the deepest social transformation. The world's community and leaders should encourage mankind, instead of wasting resources on solving momentary problems, to focus on the technologies of the future: nanotechnology, biotechnology, information technology, cognitive technology, genetics and robotics. Doing so will allow us to find new sources of energy, create fundamentally new architecture and transportation, allow unprecedented developments of human cognitive abilities, refine artificial intelligences and brain-computer interfaces, simulate complex systems, create humanoid robots and cyborgs, and with the help of nanorobots, we may develop manageable matter. Find ways to transfer one's personality to an artificial carrier. Yet what we need is not just another technological revolution, but a new civilizational paradigm. We need new philosophy and ideology, new ethics, new culture and new psychology, and even new metaphysics. We must reset our limits, go beyond ourselves, beyond the Earth, and beyond the solar system. This is an adequate response to the challenges of our time. Thus, new reality and future man will arise. Could it happen spontaneously, by itself? Unlikely. Humanity does not have a master plan of its development. It seeks stability. It lives in the present and does not plan. It preserves the status quo and tries to escape development. It does not tend to map future centuries and take responsibility for evolution. In consumer society's culture, there is no evolutionary vocabulary and rhetoric. To break the deadlock, the Russia 2045 movement was founded. It is a mega project intended to reach new heights and meanings. We intend to create a new vector for civilization, aimed at constant human development and evolution. As happened with the mega projects of the last century, the nuclear and the space programs, we integrate the latest discoveries and developments from the sciences: physics, energetics, aeronautics, bioengineering, nanotechnology, neurology, cybernetics, cognitive science. May everlasting spiritual ideals and values help us avoid going astray. Our project will give new meanings to the millions of people on Earth, will become a result of their joint creativity, and will lead us out of the impasse. Away from the murder of nature and physical death, forward to the realm of freedom and creativity, to the depths of the ocean and to the stars, to the infinite universe of our inner world. Our forecast for the next 40 years. February 2012. Global Future 2045 Congress is held in Moscow. It is a debate platform for discussion of our civilization's prospects for development. 2012 to 2013, the global economic and social crises are exacerbated. The debates on the global paradigm of future development intensifies. New transhumanist movements and parties emerge. Russia 2045 transforms into World 2045. Simultaneously, the 2045.com international social network for open innovation is expanding. Here, anyone interested may propose a project, take part in working on it, or fund it, or both. In the network, there are scientists, scholars, researchers, financiers, and managers. 2013 to 2014. New centers working on cybernetic technologies for the development of radical life extension rise. The race for immortality starts. 2015 to 2020. The Avatar is created. A robotic human copy controlled by thought via brain-computer interface. It becomes as popular as a car. In Russia and in the world appear, in testing mode, several breakthrough projects. Android robots to replace people in manufacturing tasks. Android robot servants for every home. Thought-controlled avatars to provide telepresence in any place of the world and abolish the need for business trips. Flying cars. Thought-driven mobile communications built into the body or sprayed onto the skin. 2020 to 2025. An autonomous system providing life support for the brain and allowing it interaction with the environment is created. The brain is transplanted into an Avatar B. With Avatar B, man receives new, expanded life. 2025. The new generation of avatars provides complete transmission of sensations from all 5 sensory robot organs to the operator. 2030 to 2035. Rebrain. The colossal project of brain reverse engineering is implemented. World science comes very close to understanding the principles of consciousness. 2035. The first successful attempt to transfer one's personality to an alternative carrier. The epoch of cybernetic immortality begins. 2040 to 2050. Bodies made of nanorobots that can take any shape arise alongside hologram bodies. 2045 to 2050. Drastic changes in social structure and in scientific and technological development. All the prerequisites for space expansion are established. For the man of the future, war and violence are unacceptable. The main priority of his development is spiritual self-improvement. A new era dawns. The era of neo-humanity.
The concept of a Board of Peace has been described as an initiative intended to gather international participation in reconstructing Gaza under a US-led framework. According to the proposed structure, its executive leadership would include prominent political and financial figures such as Steve Witkoff, Mark Rowan, Jared Kushner, Marco Rubio, US National Security Advisor Robert Gabriel, Ajay Banga of the World Bank Group, and former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. The board would reportedly operate under the chairmanship of Donald Trump. The proposal suggests a governing charter that centralizes significant authority in the chairman's role. According to descriptions of the charter, the chairman would possess exclusive authority to create, modify, or dissolve subsidiary entities as deemed necessary. While decisions would be made by a majority of member states present and voting, such decisions would remain subject to the chairman's approval. Additionally, permanent membership could reportedly be secured through a substantial financial contribution, distinguishing it from time-limited appointments. Supporters might argue that such a structure is designed to ensure efficiency, decisive leadership, and financial sustainability in a complex geopolitical environment. Critics, however, could raise concerns regarding the concentration of authority in a single individual and the potential bypassing of established international institutions such as the United Nations, which has functioned as the primary global diplomatic body since the aftermath of World War II. Historically, international governance efforts such as the League of Nations, envisioned by Woodrow Wilson, emphasized collective decision making rather than centralized executive control. From a biblical prophecy perspective, some interpreters view developments involving global governance structures, centralized authority, and Middle East peace negotiations as potentially significant. The Book of Daniel describes a future political configuration symbolized by 10 horns, Daniel 7:20. 4 commonly interpreted by futurist scholars as 10 kings or rulers who arise from a final kingdom. The Book of Revelation echoes this imagery. The 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. Revelation 5:12 p.m. These kings are said to give their authority to a central figure commonly referred to as the beast. In this frameworks, the confederation of leaders precedes or supports the rise of an antichrist figure. This figure is often associated with the confirmation of a covenant involving Israel and surrounding nations, Daniel 9:20, 7 which some interpret as a peace agreement in the Middle East. A brokered peace in that region, especially one that appears comprehensive, enforceable, and internationally ratified, has long been viewed by certain prophecy teachers as a potential catalyst for the unfolding of end times events. Additional passages frequently cited include 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, suggesting that a global declaration of stability may precede upheaval. Revelation 13 further describes a global system involving economic control, allegiance, and centralized authority under a singular leader empowered by 10 kings. Within this interpretive lens, some observers speculate if a governing board were composed of a fixed number of powerful international representatives, particularly if they functioned with elevated transnational authority, could such a body resemble the prophesied 10 kings? If a chairman held veto authority over collective decisions, could that mirror the dynamic described in Revelation where 10 kings give their power and strength unto the beasts? Revelation 5:13 p.m. It is important to note that these interpretations are theological frameworks rather than empirical conclusions. Throughout history, many political developments have been viewed through prophetic lenses. from the rise of the Roman Empire to the formation of the European Union. Yet definitive fulfillment remains debated among scholars. The imagery in Daniel and Revelation is apocalyptic literature, rich in symbolism, and subject to multiple schools of interpretation: futurist, historicist, preterist, and idealist. Nevertheless, the convergence of three elements often draws attention among prophecy watchers: movement towards centralized global governance, a coalition of influential leaders operating with unified authority, a peace initiative centered in Jerusalem or the broader Middle East. If a Middle East peace framework were established under a powerful international coalition, and if such a framework elevated a singular leader with extraordinary global influence, many within futurist Christian theology would consider it prophetically significant. Whether such events represent ordinary geopolitical evolution or the early stages of prophetic fulfillment depends largely on one's biblical beliefs. The question is not simply whether a board of peace exists, but whether its structure, authority, and outcomes align with the patterns described in Daniel 7, Daniel 9, Revelation 13, and Revelation 17. The proposed structure of the Board of Peace establishes an unusually centralized authority model. According to the described charter, the chairman would not merely preside symbolically, but would retain decisive control over the institution's operations. The chairman would have exclusive authority to create, modify, or dissolve subsidiary bodies, and would possess final approval over decisions passed by member states. If structured as a lifetime appointment without a clear mechanism for removal or replacement, this would represent a significant departure from most modern international governance systems, which typically rely on rotating leadership or term limits. Such permanence in leadership would create a durable executive center of power. Even if member nations vote, their decisions remain subject to approval by the chairman. Financial contributions, granting permanent membership, further shift the framework toward a hybrid political economic model in which influence is formalized through capital participation. If, at some stage, leadership were transferred or strategically positioned to include a prominent Middle Eastern political figure as chairman, the implications would be considerable. In that scenario, participating nations would effectively transfer operational authority to a single executive office with broad powers over reconstruction, diplomacy, and regional policy. That would resemble a structure in which multiple sovereign actors voluntarily yield decisive authority to one individual for the sake of stability and peace. If a future governance system were to narrow its tolerance and define dissent as resistance to peace or unity, the dividing line described in Revelation would not necessarily fall along broad religious labels, but rather along loyalty to the commandments of God and the testimony of Messiah. In summary, a lifetime chairmanship, centralized veto authority, financialized permanent membership, and the potential elevation of a Middle Eastern executive leader would create a structure in which multiple nations effectively yield power to one individual. Within certain prophetic interpretations, such a consolidation aligns with the imagery of the 10 kings, giving authority to a singular ruler and the confirmation of a covenant in the Middle East. How close are we to the end? Across generations, believers have looked at world events and asked the same question: how close are we? Not out of fear alone, but out of watchfulness. Today, many observe a convergence of political authority, technological control, Middle East realignment, and moral upheaval, and wonder whether the stage described in Scripture is being assembled before our eyes. Consider the idea of a centralized international authority, such as a Board of Peace, structured with concentrated executive power and the ability to override member nations. Revelation 17 speaks of 10 kings who receive authority and then give their power and strength to one central figure. The defining feature is voluntary consolidation, sovereign voices yielding to a singular authority in the name of stability. History has seen empires rise and fall, but modern global infrastructure allows something previous generations could not imagine: instantaneous coordination across continents. Now consider Jerusalem. The Temple Mount remains the most contested religious site on earth. The Dome of the Rock stands where the first and second temples once stood. Some have speculated about the possibility of a shared or restructured sacred complex, a framework in which Jews, Muslims, and Christians could access the same sacred space under a political peace arrangement. Whether realistic or not, the very discussion of shared governance over Jerusalem would have been unthinkable in prior centuries. Daniel 9:20, 7m speaks of a covenant confirmed with many. Paul writes in 2 Thessalonians 2 that a man will one day enter the temple of God and declare himself to be God. For that to occur, some form of temple structure must exist. Reports have circulated for years that certain Jewish groups have prepared temple furnishings in anticipation of a future rebuilding. While the Ark of the Covenant's location remains unverified and debated, the symbolism of its possible rediscovery captures prophetic imagination. The physical readiness of ritual items combined with increasing political discussion about sovereignty over Jerusalem fuels speculation that the infrastructure for temple worship could emerge rapidly under the right diplomatic conditions. In recent years, governments have acknowledged unidentified aerial phenomena and declassified limited material regarding what are now commonly referred to as EAPs. Anticipation surrounding potential alien files or expanded disclosure fuels speculation about how such revelations could affect global perception. Whether the information ultimately reveals advanced technology, misidentified natural phenomena, foreign military programs, or something unexplained, the psychological impact could be profound. A unified external threat, or even the perception of one, has historically been one of the fastest ways to consolidate global cooperation. Technological developments also enter the conversation. Revelation 13 describes an economic system in which no one may buy or sell without a specific mark associated with allegiance. Modern digital payment systems, biometric identification, and implantable technologies demonstrate that global transaction monitoring is now technically feasible. Companies experimenting with palm, scanning payment systems, and biometric verification reflect a world increasingly comfortable exchanging privacy for convenience. Meanwhile, neural interface research by figures such as Elon Musk shows that human-machine integration is no longer science fiction. None of these developments prove prophetic fulfillment, but they remove previous technological barriers. Then there are the signs Jesus described in Matthew 24, wars and rumors of wars, nation rising against nation, lawlessness increasing, and the love of many growing cold. Regional conflicts intensify. Global alliances shift. Civil unrest erupts in major cities. Senseless violence shocks communities. Birth rates decline in multiple developed nations, raising demographic concerns. The drying of the Euphrates River, referenced symbolically in Revelation 16, draws attention as environmental changes alter ancient landscapes once thought stable. Domestic institutions in many countries face erosion of public trust. Economic uncertainty rises. Cultural divisions deepen. The sense of cohesion that once defined national identity feels fragile. Revelation 12:17 p.m. narrows the prophetic focus, not to ethnicity or politics, but to those who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Jesus. The ultimate dividing line, according to Scripture, is spiritual allegiance. If a charismatic leader were to emerge from a global peace framework, particularly one connected to a Middle East agreement involving Jerusalem, and if that leader were later to enter a restored temple and exalt himself, many Christians would interpret that as the pivotal moment Paul described. Prophetic teaching often divides that final 7-year period into two halves. 3.5 years of apparent peace, followed by 3.5 years of unprecedented tribulation. Daniel 7:20. 5am, Revelation 13. 5. Yet history cautions humility. Many generations believed they stood at the threshold of the end. Empires have resembled prophetic beasts before. Wars have felt final before. What distinguishes the present era in the eyes of some observers is convergence, global governance capacity, biometric economic systems, Middle East diplomatic restructuring, temple readiness discussions, environmental shifts, and accelerating moral fragmentation, all occurring simultaneously. Are we at the door? Scripture urges vigilance rather than date setting. Jesus said, no one knows the day or hour, but he also rebuked those who could read the sky yet ignored the signs of the times. The question, then, is not merely how close are we, it is, are we spiritually awake? If the final sequence unfolds as many futurist interpretations describe, a covenant, a temple, a declaration of false divinity, 3.5 years of peace, followed by 3.5 years of upheaval. Then the season preceding it would likely feel exactly as this one feels, unstable, accelerated, globally interconnected, morally strained, and spiritually polarized. Whether these developments are precursors, or simply another turn in human history, the call of Scripture remains consistent: watch, discern, endure, and remain faithful. If the man of lawlessness steps into a temple and exalts himself, the clock described in Daniel begins its final countdown. Until then, the convergence itself serves as a reminder that history is not random, it moves toward a culmination. And when peace is promised most loudly, that may be when discernment is needed most.